I mean, this has been methodical. This has been well planned out and orchestrated by the New World Order. They want the breakdown of our society, and we're watching it now. And if we don't stand up and use the tools that we have, with regards to obviously the alternative media like yourself, we don't utilize to our advantage, we are doomed. While people watch sports and they're being entertained and going and having fun, they don't realize what's really happening behind the scenes. And these powerful corporations want us not just to destroy ourselves, but they want to destroy our children. And this is insanity. And these guys and gals, because I'm dumbfounded at how many women are actually involved in this, that want to exploit our children. And this is insanity.
It is. And, the other thing is, it's really tragic, is some of these kids are coming of age and realizing that they didn't really want to transition. My son who's 8 years old, he wants to be a transformer.
Yeah.
It just seems like younger and younger we're sexualizing the children, and I'm outraged. I think it needs to stop.
I totally agree. And the pedophiles want this.
Yeah.
These sick, twisted pedophiles are endorsing this because that's their niche.
To justify their crimes against humanity is what.
Exactly.
And they're looking to get away with these crimes, and they're using the mainstream media and conditioning of the public to accept this as being the norm or normal, and it's anything but normal, right?
I'll agree.
Yeah.
Agree. So what
do you have so far, like, as far as, looking into this and who is supporting this agenda, or basically, not who started the funding for this story time with the transgender movement in the libraries? Where did this originate from?
California. A young lady, but she goes by T. But and her corporation, who funding her corporation. So basically, what we want to do is before I release anything, because I don't want to release anything too early. But what we did do is we gone through the creation of the corporation, who is endorsing the corporation, who is she affiliated with, and the promotions. So when you look at this and you look at it systematically, the whole premise behind all this is basically we're going down to what was the motive, what was their motive, why this agenda, and we want to see, and we're going to put it to show the people, hey, this is why it started, this is how it started, and these are the people that are funding this. And it's going to be extremely interesting for a lot of Americans that think that there are good people, especially people within the media. So when I meant, I don't discriminate, and I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. If you're a sick, twisted pedophile, or you support a corporation that is involved in pedophilia, I'm gonna throw that name out there. And sadly, one of the anchors from Fox News is involved in one of this. Mm-hmm. So it's we'll be throwing his name out there, and it's going to be sad. It's going to be sad because a lot of American people see this guy as an idol, but in reality, he's not. And let the American people decide the facts for themselves.
Yeah, and we know that I started out profiling the indictments and convictions within Child Protective Services involving these crimes against the children, child pornography, all sorts of, basically profiling the immunity, human trafficking, and they're encouraging these programs. I mean, this is actually the people that are behind manipulating our society, basically to accept this as the norm. And I think I pretty much made my point as far as, they're the ones that are it's institutionalized.
Yeah. Who in their right mind would want to give a pedophile immunity?
Yeah.
Who in their right mind would allow Child Protective Services to lie on reports, falsify, fabricate evidence, tamper with evidence, destroy evidence? I mean, how can we allow this? How can we allow this to happen? And just watch and sit back and do nothing?
Services is an unregulated government agency, and they have immunity.
And when I was in Washington State, I found a bill which gave them immunity, and I was just dumbfounded. How can you give somebody immunity, knowing they're committing crimes? I just don't understand that. I mean, that's insane. I'm just dumbfounded that we as a society would allow this, to allow corrupt politicians, pedophile politicians, to give these criminals immunity. I'm just dumbfounded. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to take for the American people to wake up.
I think we're aware. It's just, I think, everyday person isn't prepared to stand up to this beast system. I've tried to create, with the MEMS, I tried to create a way for people to socialize these crimes as some sort of a way to regulate an unregulated government agency that's out of control. Fortunately, I don't know. I'm going to play this. I want to play something for you. Hold on, stand by. I've been actually feeling kind of vindicated because recently there was I've taken a lot of heat. I've taken a lot of criticism, a lot of targeting online, targeting by CPS for my views, which, were considered for a long time really radical.
Oh, let me guess, the SPLC. Well, the SPLC considers me a terrorist just because I research and put all the facts between the Clinton Foundation and Uranium One and the Russia collusion through the Barack Hussein Obama administration. And all because I put all the evidence together. They want to call me a terrorist. I started laughing. I said, all right, well, if I'm a terrorist, then you're a terrorist. Obviously, if you are protecting and defending these terrorists that basically gave high-graded uranium to our enemies, then you are the terrorist. Because according to our State Department, anything that you do with a enemy of the state or enemy against a country in which Russia is, then you are considered a terrorist. So why are you giving high-graded uranium or U-235 and U-238 to Russia? And why are you putting in danger our military? Because at the end of the day, if we were to go to war, don't you think that these enemies against the United States would use uranium against our military? You can't be that blind. You can't be that incompetent. I mean, if I am the
Sorry. I want to play something for you. I want to play an audio clip.
Is this a fight the American people and the rest of the world that should be sovereign citizens and sovereign nations will actually win?
Well, first of all, I don't predict that President Trump is going to be removed from office. I don't think he's even going to be impeached. Obviously many millions of people were hoping. So I do believe that President Trump will win. He is showing that he's going on.
About several victims that are high profile right now in the CPS system, and it starts with the Adoption and Safe Family Acts put forth by Hillary Clinton and signed into law by her lovely husband, Bill Clinton, back in 1997. First off, why has this law been so detrimental and so bad for children and families in this country?
Well, what the Adoption and Safe Families Act did was it created financial incentives that before did not exist. in order to take children away from their parents and put them into the foster care system, because the state is paid by the federal government out of Social Security for every single child that is adopted out of foster care. And there is a mandatory requirement that a child who has spent 15 of the last 22 months in foster care must automatically be adopted permanently, and the parent therefore their rights are terminated. That creates a mad dash for the parents to try to get the kids back within a space of 15 months, which very rarely happens because they put forward as many obstacles as they possibly can, or just flat out ignore the parents during that time. Most of the parents whose kids are taken away are poor or indigent, below the poverty line, and these people have no ability to fight the juvenile courts and the rigged legal system that exists. And so, oftentimes you will hear stories that a baby is taken away in the hospital. They take it away to get vaccinated, and then the baby never comes back because some CPS report has been made. I interviewed Heather Hobbs. A CPS report was made against her when she was in the hospital because the nurse overheard her talking about being a pro-life speaker, and so then launched a politically motivated CPS report. Antifa is admitting that they are using this tactic now, knowing that CPS is a corrupt agency with a financial incentive to take kids away. They're launching a nationwide network of politically motivated CPS reports. This tactic is working because the CPS agents come in the middle of the night when all the lawyers are asleep, and oftentimes the lawyers are on board with them. They take the kid away. If the parents are wealthy, they will be able to get a once a week, 1 hour visit because they want to fleece the parents for as much money as they possibly can. And then once the parent is bankrupt after spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in court costs, then they're finished. And what we are seeing, and the State Department confirms it, my recent conversation with the Trump administration task force on this issue confirms it. My many interviews with hundreds of people in the last few weeks confirms that the foster care system is rife with child sex trafficking and prostitution. The child sex trafficking and prostitution business is the lifeblood of the criminal economy in this country, more so than the drug trade. The state of California does not even put out an Amber Alert for kids who go missing from foster care. They are all labeled as runaways so that no Amber Alert has to go out. And then the state of California...
I also want to add really quick, stay with me, Lazo, because I want you to hear the rest of this. But I want to add, on the missingla.org website, some of these children that are listed as runaways are actually as young as 1 and 2 years old.
Oh, how can they run away?
Told me, well, a lot of these kids end up going, finding their way back. Well, maybe they get lost for 2 weeks and then they find their way back, and then they get lost for 2 weeks and find their way back, and they have some more $100 bills in their pocket, but we all know where they're going, and we all see where they're going. And so there have been some recent arrests of foster parents now who have been, sexually abusing the kids allegedly, and the entire system of it is worse here in the United States than most countries in the world. Shocking. And is being run.
We're number 1 for human trafficking worldwide, the United States.
Out of the United States. And Hillary Clinton put this system in place single-handedly as part of her It Takes a Village collective parenting philosophy, which is really just another excuse for criminal for-profit behavior.
It's just another excuse to cover up what she really believes is that they're better at taking care of our children and families as long as it's to the betterment of their wallets. It's essentially what it boils down to. So President Trump has put forth, Patrick, and thank you, by the way, that was a very good explanation of what is going on. California is under a cloud of suspicion with a lot of allegations that their kids are basically in the foster care system are being abused sexually in various different foster care networks there. And it's also coming out in Arizona. Senator Farnsworth on Friday on the AZ Mirror had a front page article saying the same thing and making accusations about the Arizona foster care system. So it's not an isolated thing going on. We're seeing it happen all over the country. And you're right, the targets usually are the lower socioeconomic, lower educated families for the lack of means and the lack of education on how to fight this. So very tragic, but it's great to see that the president is stepping up, because on October 1st, he put forth the Family First Prevention and Services Act that went into effect. Why is this so important, and why is it the first step, and what really needs to happen here?
Well, first of all, this is a bill that President